So we want to focus on a subject which is not very sexy. I mean, waste is is not. Nobody wants to hear about it or deal with it, but everybody is producing it. My first question goes to Adrian. How is the situation in the UK? Do productions already manage their waste on set, and if they were?
It varies from production to production. I mean, the green screen scheme that we operate for London and the auditing that goes along with that has recycling and waste management as part and parcel of that scheme. So it absolutely is encouraging productions to recycle, and everyone that essentially goes through that auditing process and achieves the logo that goes on the credits, whether it's a television or a film production, has done some of that waste recycling, but it does vary. There's still inconsistent practices. There are some specialist companies now that have come into the UK, which can be contracted by film productions and are increasingly being contracted by film productions to manage particular elements of waste.
So we did a study to really have some figure and have a picture of what's going on, and especially on the type of waste. Because in France we have some laws, some regulations, some organization which is dealing with that, and it's well organized. So we have the resources for the production sector to get on board to deal with the waste management. And we realized that 40% of the waste on the set, and also it's a study that we did with the living art sector. It's a common study. 40% of the waste can't be recycled or reused or compost. So what we are doing with those numbers, I mean, it's a lot of waste that can be reused. So we realize that it's not a problem of waste management, it's a problem of eco-design. At the first step of the preparation of the production, you have to consider that. So it's not only at the end of the shooting you realize that you have a certain amount of waste. You really have to integrate it in your preparation, in the production process, and especially, of course, on the set.
And so what we are actively trying to do, and I think as Joanna was mentioning as well, is we're looking upstream, right? So, downstream, when you have the waste in front of you, you're really just in a damage control mode at that point, trying to keep as much from landfill as possible. But the ticket is really to look upstream and try to be purchasing products that don't need to be wasted in the first place is the ideal.
It's like Emellie said, if you show people the impact, and if you show the waste, if you show the amount of paper, they realize. And if I look at Flanders, the biggest is transport, but number 2 is waste. It's 28% of that impact is waste, and it's the stuff we use to build sets and to make textiles and clothes and furniture for dressing a set. But it's also the stuff that stays behind after the film is done. And I think it's very important to teach people about that impact and to show, and we use a carbon calculator, and so they are obliged to keep track of their waste disposal. And in the end, we talk about it with the producer and with the crew and say, okay, this was the result of your film, and this is the impact you had and the change you could make by thinking about recycling, prevention, reuse, etc. But it's 28% of 10 households worth of impact per year.